Today, we're going to talk about Dagger of the Mind, and it was written by Vincent McEveety again. Directed, sorry. And written by Shimon Wincelberg. It's the 11th production order and the 9th aired episode. Fabulous. Well, what do we know about this episode? That Kevin's a funny guy. I think it's great. What was it? What was the actor's name?
The one that was on the crazy man on the ship, or the doctor?
Yeah. I wrote it down here. Morgan Woodward.
Okay, he's the crazy man. He played a lot of cowboys and a lot of stuff.
Yep, and he plays in another Star Trek episode.
Which one is that?
He plays in the Omega Glory. 3 phasers and 6 power packs each. Yeah. He plays another crazy, crazy guy. Has to kill the Yangs and the Combs.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. He died recently, February 22nd, 2019, at age 93.
Oh, wow. He lived a nice, long, healthy life.
Yes, he did.
Nice, long life.
A cage is a cage, Jim. You want me to talk about the episode? I have some comments here.
Well, make your comments. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Comments are great. So it's episode. You might want to tell them what it's about first of all, and then comment, because whether or not they see
them.
it.
Who's them? Kevin, there's nobody watching. This is you and I. This episode, you know what it's about. Crazy guy and Tantalus colony. They reused that word in another episode for the Tantalus field.
Yeah.
And
so he's a crazy guy.
And
which one is crazy?
And he beams up in a box.
A box, which tells you a lot about their security and safety, which is a big problem if you ask me.
Right. And
then some guy, Kirk says, gives a direct order, put that away. First of all, what does he do? He goes and looks at this blank screen of whatever he's looking at, right?
Right. And the guy comes out of the box, sneaks out. Where was what if this was in an airlock?
It comes out of a box. First of all, they're beaming stuff down to the colony that they can't get down. Why? Because it's a secure colony, right? It's a penal colony because there's a screen up, a security screen, and Kirk kind of laughingly goes, learn about security screen, about penal colonies.
Right away, sir.
Yeah, because they don't want people just flying in and picking up the prisoners, because they have the technology, or beaming them out. Hey, I guess you could beam them out, but who knows what you're going to get on the ship? It's going to be like, what was the one with Tim Allen?
Galaxy Quest.
Remember the thing, they beam it up and it blows up or something, the backwards or...
Right, inside. And it exploded. Ragnarok.
That would have actually made this a better episode. But, so he beams up. He's crazy, right? He's going crazy on the ship. He's like nuts. And they're like, what's wrong with this guy? And then the guy goes, oh, don't be alarmed. Hey, man, is there a better colony you could take him to? And Bones, of course, well, there's not a better colony. He knows that. So Bones is wise to his cracks,
Yeah.
Right? So Bones, and then Kirk goes, well, hey, man, let me just beam down and check this out. Oh, is there anyone I could take with me? Oh, yeah, there's this woman that you could go, who's creepy as hell. She is creepy.
How this works. Did I miss something? So I'm watching him say, can you find someone who has blah, blah, blah experience? And he smiles. I see that episode as, I know there is someone on this ship who already has that. And he smiles, as in he knows the doctor is going to pick her because he's going to find her records. But when he gets to the transporter room, he whips around and looks there, and he's like, he's surprised. He smirked or smiled in the previous scene. Did they decide to play it 2 different ways?
I think he wants to CYA with Spock, right? Because he walks up to Spock and goes, she better be the best one I've ever had.
Yes, but
right.
he looked genuinely disgusted, or, oh, great, now I got to work with her. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
But prior to that on the bridge, he's like smiling like he knows. No, maybe not. Maybe he was just trying to be nice to McCoy.
Now, let me just ask you a question. Isn't the accompaniment on the Enterprise approximately 400 people?
Approximately 430 people, of course.
I guess I could see that you don't meet everyone on there, but your top officers, I think you probably read. Your crewmen, probably not. You don't know your crewmen. My captains in the Navy never knew me, except for my immediate supervisors. They knew who I was, right? So he's like, oh, we met, Captain. You already know that, right? I'm going to put her eyes up here because the way she does her eyes is just creepy. They should have, instead of directing her to be creepy, they should have made her be sexy, like I'm going to get another crack at Kirk, right? Instead of creepy, that kid. Look at where she's on the transporter, and her eyes are just creepy. The way she just keeps looking with her eyes, it's like, oh my God, this woman's a psycho. He's taken her down to a penal colony because she's a psycho.
I have that playing. Boom, he comes out, he goes on that, and they get to the transporter at gunpoint. I want asylum. And of course, McCoy says a ring of truth twice in that episode. Drives me nuts. Once with just a ring of truth, and then later on he says it when they're talking to the guy. Okay, I am almost there, right? Aren't I? Did I pass it? I see her. She's looking away.
She's looking creepy though. She keeps looking back and forth, and this weird grin on her face, and it's all adding up to this really creepy part of this whole show. But go ahead. Let's.
So 18 minutes or so into the episode, she looks creepy to you. She has to work with him. They have to be professional right now.
Yeah.
And obviously there's some history that creates.
The way she's looking is not professional. What you reminded me of, and I didn't really realize this, I really like her in another show. She was in, and this is kind of the same thing if you look at it. She was in High Plains Drifter, if you saw that. She gets raped within the first 10 minutes of that show. The first 10 minutes of High Plains Drifter. She did a pretty good job in High Plains Drifter. And this one, I kind of thought she overacted herself a lot.
I made a comment on her only, not totally dislike this character later on when she's coming, or no, he says, well, or something like that, and she says, coming, and she's just like totally pissed. Remember when they're leaving the room that they stayed in on the planet?
On the planet, okay.
Right.
Well, why don't you give us the scene leading up to that? Because I'm not sure where you're at with that.
Sure.
Is that where the doctor's telling her? Because he's so contrary to Kirk. Everything that she says to Kirk is so contrary. It's like anything the doctor says. This is one of those that I didn't get why you didn't have a problem with it, because on the other one, you said, how did she flip so fast? Wasn't that in Mary? Where you said, how did Rand flip so fast?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, not Mary. You said Mary flipped so fast. And this one, she flipped so fast. And I'm like, this woman's a psycho. From the doctor on the planet. What's his name? The doctor that's showing him around and controlling Kirk.
Van Gelder is the psycho, is the guy with the mental problems.
No, I don't want the guy with the mental problems. I want the one on who also has mental problems.
And Dr. Adams is the guy that runs the show.
Dr. Adams. So every time
now.
Dr. Adams says something like, hey, this thing doesn't work, and he goes, well, I want to see how it doesn't work. She goes, Captain Kirk, can't you see? He said it didn't work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Why check it out? It's like, what? Hello? What? You know, it's like, hello. I mean, I don't know why she gets in an argument with Captain Kirk. If Captain Kirk wants, and then he goes, well, that's the priority of being a captain. You could ask for advice and not take it. That's about the best line in the show.
You are not happy.
I kind of want to apologize well, we're not even to where my biggest problem is with this show yet. We're building up. I don't even want to say a house of cards. This was the poorest written thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just terrible. Or maybe it wasn't written this way, but however it got to be an episode, it took a bad track. Following in a sewer, and you finally step in a pile of...
Don't drag our show down to that level.
Van Gelder's the one on the Enterprise, right? The one. And Adams is the one on the surface. And then he's got those creepy people on the surface as well. Like Captain Kirk looks at Helen, or whatever her name was, Helene, the one where, I love my job. And what are you here for? Well, that's not important, is it? And then Adams goes, no, we try to leave those things behind. If we had bad things in our lives, why carry them around with us?
Right. Her name is Lethe. And I love that line where she says blank face.
Yeah.
I love my work. And her name comes from mythology. Many Star Trek episodes found their roots in great works of literature. Obsession, borrowed from Moby Dick, took Kirk on a relentless chase across the galaxy after a killer life form, much as Ahab pursued the white whale across the ocean. Another episode, Conscious of the King, contained elements right from Hamlet and Julius Caesar. The title of this one, Dagger of the Mind, is taken from Macbeth.
Which there's also a Columbo episode, like not even a couple years later, right in that time.
Yeah,
also Dagger of the Mind. It was interesting.
So they stole from Trek?
They stole from Trek, yeah.
Oh, they just stole from Macbeth. The title.
So you were getting back leading up to her with the captain and Dr. Adams, and What you were starting to say something about that.
Yeah, I was wondering why you didn't have a problem with. I only made a comment of the way she acted, quite perturbed, and displayed it very well when Kirk says it was time to go. Her line, Helen Noel.
Right. Oh, I could have told you that. I've got her name right here.
Or is that too impractical or unscientific of me, Doctor? Well, he says at the door, coming. And she's looking away, just like on the transporter, the way you don't like it. I thought she did. She looked very, very well there.
I think she overacted her part of it. Because he also says that when they're in that thing, I know my job, Captain. Like, she's all snooty. I know my job, Captain. I mean, she talks to him like they're old lovers or something, like they're old bickering married couple. I don't really get that that's how she should have been treating the captain, especially since she hadn't seen him since the Christmas party. Okay, so he wants to see what Dr. Adams is working with and what Van Gelder went through in this thing, right? This mind clearing.
Lying. Try it out for yourself.
No. Oh, come on. Because someone hits their finger and they're building a roof and they go, man, this really hurts. You think you're going to go up on a roof and take a hammer and smash your finger just to see if it really hurts? Or to say, no, this doesn't hurt, and you're going to smash your finger. Let's get there. Okay, you already opened the Pandora's box here. Okay, so Kirk, this is one of those where they go to the planet without any protection, or if they have protection, they take their glove off and touch everything, right? Just really bad habits. Now, I can see this happening because we're in a pandemic right now. If you guys are watching this 10 years from now, we're in a pandemic right now. Kirk, he wants to check out this thing that there's obviously this crazy guy that's been through this because Spock tells him there's a problem with whatever that mind-clearing device is down there. He's referred to it. We got a problem, Captain. So what does Captain Kirk goes to this creepy, what is she? She's a science officer. This creepy science officer, Dr. Noel, and he says, let's check it out. Now, she's going to go along with the captain, even though she goes, oh, there's nothing to it and everything else. Her contrary state before, she doesn't say, Captain, this isn't the best idea you've had. Let's not try it out. Let's have him bring a mouse in here and try it on a mouse. Now, for all of you animal lovers, God save you. But I think that they could have taken that device and made a mouse think he was a cat or a human being. But that being said, so Kirk goes, no, I want to try it out myself.
Yes, he says, okay? The only way I can be sure is to see that machine work. Or is that too impractical or scientific of me, Doctor?
Because he's being snide to her as she's being snide to him this whole time. Remember? He's just answering with her snideness, like, oh, that's not a practical, Captain. So with her snideness, he's going to get a little edge in with her. And instead of saying, everything's not right on this planet. There's some weird shit. People are talking to me like they're blank and there's nothing in their brain. I love my job, Captain. Kind of like I'm talking to Bruce right now. Not too much animation.
And that guy at the controls, how does this thing work? And he says, well, the simple. Did you notice the on-off switch was, the light was, every time it was off, the light went on? That's what you should be complaining about. Is there an off light?
No, that pales in comparison to everything else. So he takes this creepy Dr. Noel down. They sneak over to this thing that for some reason isn't being used. And even the guy says, it was a failed experiment. And he sloughs it off, but they have someone sitting in the chair. Why would they have someone in the chair if it's a failed experiment? Why use it? Okay. First of all,
he had an excuse.
I know he did. He said, well, except for the lightest of cases. I got that.
Yeah, and he said, why do we continue using it? Because there's hope that it could work and do something.
Right. But a failed experiment that still could help. Okay, whatever. All right, I'll give you that one. All right, I'm going to give Bruce a little. So, Dr. Noel and Kirk go. After they have a crazy guy on the Enterprise, you got crazy people talking to you on the planet's surface. You got a crazy Dr. Noel who knows her job talking to Kirk. And Kirk, being as stupid as he was, says, no, I want to do this. So put me in the chair. You control it. Instead of Kirk saying, I'll control it. You go sit in the chair because he is the captain after all. He can do that with his minions. So he gets in the chair and he says, oh, tell me something. So she says, well, first of all, they didn't do it. She just turned it on. She goes, man, your face went blank. So instead of taking it, holy shit, I didn't feel anything. My brain, oh man, there's something going on here. With the first one, right? Second one, you're hungry. Okay, so we're stepping into it, right? We're hungry. We're walking down the sewage drain here in Los Angeles. You're hungry. So he goes, oh man, I could raid a kitchen when we're done with this. Still, she's not convinced. He's not convinced. No, I put that in your brain, Captain. Oh, well, we can't be sure. He doesn't even know that she told him he's hungry. He doesn't even know that she said he's hungry. And he's not going to take that as proof of anything, right? So he says, well, give me something we can both be sure of. How is he going to be sure? He doesn't even know he's hungry. I mean, what? You know, if he says, Jesus, you said I was hungry and I'm really hungry. Let's go raid a kitchen. He doesn't do that. He says, hey, let's get us. So instead of going something like, you know, Captain, you're hungry, you're thirsty, and you got a bad rash on your knee. If he had a rash on his knee or something, you know, and he goes, oh man, I got to take care of this rash. You know, she gives him that thought and he pulls up his thing and there's no rash. They could pretty much be sure that there's something going on with this. Instead of, what does she do? She takes him to this sexual thing. They're in the how is he going to be sure of that? How is he going to know that they had a little sexual rendezvous at the Christmas party? And why did they make it so creepy? Like she goes, you know, Captain, we just met and we're in this situation. And I know I want to bang you on the first night, but I need to know you care for me. And he goes, well, do you want me to lie to you? It's her fantasy, not his. Why would she even say, well, you know, you could slough it off. Don't even care for me. It was like, that was written by a man, you could tell, because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If it's a woman's fantasy, why would she not go with, I want you to say you care for me. And, you know, it's our first night, but Jesus, say it anyway, and then I'm going to be feeling better about having with you. She doesn't do that.
Was she recalling actual events, or was she thinking about how she wanted to change it?
Oh, no, she was changing it. Remember, they had met and they had gone, but it didn't go all the way like she wanted it to. So she was changing their meeting on the Christmas party. She was changing it to be more romantic, more intimate, more like, I love you, you know, I care for you kind of deal. And he's like, well, do you want me to lie to you?
You think it's alternate version that she wants to tell him at that moment while he's underneath the neural neutralizer, not a flashback to the way it was.
That's exactly right. She is putting that in his brain.
I'd be damned.
So that he could, quote unquote, be sure, which he wasn't sure whether he was hungry or not. So I'm like, how is he going to be sure whether or not he on the Christmas party? He doesn't know or not.
If she puts that thought in him.
Right. I mean, what is wrong with these people? I mean, what is wrong with Captain Kirk to where he would say, you know, I want to go under a mind paralyzing thing. You know, this is pretty crazy of me. I'm the captain of a Starship Enterprise. And I know that it's going to be floating around empty in space because if everyone's as dumb as I am to get under this neural neutralizer, because they go, did that really happen to Kirk? Spock's going to be next. Spock's got a tougher mind, so they're going to have it on 12 the whole time. Like, whoa, Spock, you're not really the science captain. You're Captain Kirk. He's going to start acting like, I don't know what they're going to tell him, but you're a fish. I don't know what they're going to tell him. But
never even thought about it that way.
Dude, would you really get under a neural neutralizer to figure out whether or not someone's going crazy because of it?
No, but
I mean, would you really subject yourself to that?
Star of the show's got to be able to scream and be able to laugh uncontrollably.
And I have another thing to say about this. William Shatner had his beef, at least from the back end story that I've heard, with having Spock be smarter than him because he said, quote unquote, I'm the captain of the show. I need to be smarter than Spock. So then they give him these lines that make him sound smarter than Spock. He is so stupid in this episode that there's no way in hell he's ever going to touch Spock. Spock is only science officer because he wants to be science officer, not because he, you know, it's crazy.
So there's a crew of 100 helping produce this show in some fashion, right? There are 20 producers and line administrators and script writers, and everybody's reviewing this episode, and you're wondering how they let this through with the logic that you're saying, hey, this doesn't follow, this doesn't work, right? How did it go?
Thank you for making me sound smarter than I am, by the way. Yes,
You're wondering, how did it get through? They're all working together on this, and nobody says, hey, this doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Or they edited, or they made changes up until the last moment, and it just didn't make any sense.
Right. Either I'd like to see the original, because I know the one guy that threw the script and said they didn't do my work, even though he won what was it called, that award. Remember the other writer that got upset because they didn't shoot his episode, quote unquote. They shot something else. He won an award, but
Harlan Ellison.
So he was mad
Forever.
Yeah. So he was mad about it, and I'm wondering why I didn't hear anything about the writer being mad. If he really, or did he really write this crappy episode? I mean, I can't believe that they would let the star of the show subject him. It's like, why would Captain Kirk even subject himself to this at all? Why would he even? It doesn't make any sense at all. This episode makes zero sense. At everything about it makes zero sense. Yes. They beam a guy up in a container, where on the other ones, you know, when they're beaming people up, they say, well, did you get rid of all of the impurities or the dangerous stuff? Yes, when we beamed them up, all that stuff was purified. Now, we know it doesn't work. The transport is not that good to really get out impurities on people. We know that from several episodes now. But they beam up a box of what's supposed to be paperwork, and it turns out to be a man. I mean, come on. You can't differentiate between paper and people, you know? I mean, there's nothing about this episode that makes sense. Nothing.
Star Wars Episode 4, they eject the droids go into the escape pod. Oh, there's another one. Oh, save your fire. There's no humans on board. There's no life on board. Here in this universe, they can't detect anything in the box.
And I'm just checking out another note of mine here. Can you help me out with this one? Why, after she puts in the thing of him that he seduced her at the Christmas party,
yeah,
which really she seduced him because she put that thought. But why does she rebuff him later? She goes, "No, he put that in your brain, Captain. It's not."
Oh, real. No, he didn't. No, well, he is looking straight at her. What he thinks, of course, he's watching through her towards the grill, and he's coming up with this idea what to do. Because every air conditioning duct is big enough for a person.
Thank you for mentioning that. It's like it's so low to the ground. I
mean, so he's saying, I've always wanted you, and she's no, you put it in my. He put it in. Did you notice? It's not her.
Yeah.
Did you notice how she deflected that and said, well, he took the controls away and he did that? Well, she started it.
And she can't talk to the captain. I mean, when they're holding her away from the microphone and he's giving him all this false leading information, she can't. She's just saying, no, Dr. Adams, no. Instead of saying, Kirk, this isn't true. Think of like Kirk did on the other one where he's spinning around and when he was saying the thing to the Vulcan, to Spock's character. Remember when they made his clone?
Mind your own damn business, Mr. Spock.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I mean, she can't kind of say that to clue Kirk into that there's a problem. She just keeps saying no. I mean, she's just stupid as a rock. I mean, they should just throw her down in a lake somewhere as a sinking rock because her character is just poorly written. Just poorly written.
If she spoke up while he was controlling her, you're saying, hey, she could scream out loud for him to think something else real quick.
Yeah.
I would override
Mind your
that.
Vulcan mind, Captain Kirk. You know, something like that.
They would take her away and he would override it and she wouldn't be able to see what's going on.
Well, it looks like this machine needs several treatments. Remember, they're going to take him back for another treatment when she's going into the air conditioning duct or the duct work. Then actually, another thing, like how the hell did she know where the electrical room is? What is this thing? Got 3 rooms that are tiny as heck shit. So she crawls over to one. Oh, that's not the electrical room. To another one. Oh, that's not. Oh, here's the electrical room. How did she know how to get there? I mean, she's just. I didn't see any blueprints. I didn't see any ductwork diagrams. It's just like, okay, I'll go. That's why I said, how does I shock the heck out of myself? Oh yeah, I'm dead. So she gets to the duct. She gets to that room. And here's another problem. So she gets into the ductwork room, right? Or she gets into the electrical room and she's going to turn it off and that guy attacks her. And of course she throws him into this massive electrical explosion. And when he's laying on the floor, he doesn't really look like he's been shocked at all. Like when people get shocked, you could, especially with a severe shock like that, I think you can pretty much see this guy's been burnt. But anyway, that aside.
No smoke, no nothing.
Yeah, well, look at him. Look at him laying on the floor. He's just kind of like a guy that has a little bit of makeup on him. But anyway, so that gives Spock enough time to beam down to the planet, right into the electrical room. And Spock, being not so logical of his logical self, says, WTF, I'm going to turn the power back on. So instead of like assessing the situation and seeing, he knows right away, hey, let's turn this power back on. Why does he turn it on anyway? It doesn't make any sense. None of this show makes any sense at all to me. None. I mean, there's no logical reason for him to turn on, and Spock's supposed to be logical, to turn on the power. They're beaming more people down. They can assess the situation. They can see what's going on down there. They can bring a whole fleet of security people and other assessments, and they got more doctors on the ship, someone to really assess this planet and what's happening there. No. And secondly, Dr. Adams, he's going to torture and kill Captain Kirk and all that, clean out his mind. So let's say you send a brainless, deranged Captain Kirk back to the Enterprise. Let's say he's done, and he's got to hold off.
What's wrong,
Kirk.
Captain? You don't look any different.
Yeah.
That's normal.
So he's got to hold off all these guys, right? Well, he's doing all these massive experiments on Kirk, and he's going to have to do Dr. Noel Hill too. So, or Dr. Noel. Her last name is Milana Hill. So Dr. Noel, he's going to have to do it to her too. He's going to have to clean up his act and put some stuff. So you got two deranged people coming back. You don't think that they're going to blow the crap out of the Tantalus planet, or that, at least that colony? It would be gone. And that's what people would be flying around in space going, hey man, I was just wanting to go to the Tantalus colony. Where the hell is it? Florida's gone. What happened to Florida? Well, the captain was in Florida. Something happened to him. We couldn't be sure that it was okay. We destroyed Florida. There's no logic to this. I'm sorry, Bruce. There's no logic to this show at all.
You raise interesting points. Never thought of it that way, the way you do. I just bought into it, sat back, and enjoyed the entertainment.
I love you, Bruce. You know that. See?
And I watched Helen Noel's interaction with the captain. They had a previous encounter, and they had to work together, and he had to come up with some idea to figure out what the mystery was. Gets involved with a neural neutralizer. Yeah, of course, he's the captain. That means he still can, maybe he can't use the phaser, and he has to throw it to the ground, but he can open up the communicator.
When the doctor turned off it on his desk in his room, right?
I'm sorry?
Remember, he turned off, he said, you can't communicate. Previously, Dr. Adams says, no, your communicator's not going to work. And he goes to the desk and pushes the switch and says, use it now. So Kirk, even though he got his communicator open, it wouldn't communicate to the Enterprise. So it's a futile attempt of communication. He is hurt. He's reverting back to trying to, now that makes sense to me. Trying to get some way to get yourself out of the situation makes sense. That makes sense. I look at this and I go, why? You know, why would you first of all put yourself in harm's way like that? Especially when all the other episodes are talking about his main thrust is the Enterprise and the crew, right? So if your main thinking is to take care of the Enterprise and the crew, getting under a neural neutralizer is not a way to take care of the crew.
But he does have orders that if he has an escaped convict, he has to investigate. Well, not that. And McCoy had to put something in his log, and he has to address it. So he has to go down. I don't know why he says, this is rather embarrassing by strict interpretation of the laws. I got to go investigate. I don't think it's embarrassing. McCoy did the thing. He has to follow all the rules. And he has to go down there and see what the hell happened. How does this guy...
But even on that, you've got a crazy guy that's saying something's going on the planet, right?
Yeah.
Who beams up in a box.
Yeah.
And that, first of all, would raise massive red flags to me. Like, how did this guy get on our ship? Holy crap, this is crazy, right? And at first you could say, well, he's just a crazy guy trying to escape, and okay, he did a good job. But then you can't do that anymore. And then, shoot, I just lost my choo-choo train. Got to go investigate. So you got creepy, crazy things going on the planet. You got to go investigate, and you're going to take one crazy, creepy woman with you? No, you would probably say, you know what? I know you want us to limit it. You don't get many visitors. We're still taking an accompaniment of 2 of our red shirts, right? 2 security officers. So 2 security officers
electrocuted or neural neutralized.
Right. Well, you could take those 2 guys, and of course they're going to kill them off at the beginning, but that would have still been a better story, right? Let's say that somehow they both got electrocuted. The red shirts both died at the beginning of the episode. It would have still been a better episode because Captain Kirk is still doing his diligence to take care of himself and his crew as he's beaming down to check out this really fishy situation down there. He doesn't do any of that.
I have no arguments for you. You have a interesting point of view. Good Star Trek. This is where don't we get introduced to Spock's Vulcan mind meld?
Yes, they do say that. That's a trivia in this. The Vulcan mind meld was introduced in this episode.
Yeah.
So this one writer came up with one thing. At least they said he did. Now, listening to what I hear about Gene Roddenberry came up with all of the things that were interesting, or for the Enterprise. Or for Star Trek.
Yeah, the Gene Kuhn didn't come up with Klingons. Didn't come up with anything. Didn't. No.
Someone in the Midwest.
Scotty didn't appear in this episode because they said, we can save $890.
Oh, wow.
If we don't, we'll just get a no-name brand guy in here. And he says that was
Lieutenant Berkeley.
Yeah, Berkeley. So they got that guy in and paid him for a few hours worth of work. On the transporter pad, when the scene first opens in the teaser, he puts something down on the pad, and that guy says, ready to beam down. It's looped because the lips don't match.
What about Uhura? Uhura had like one line in this whole show.
Oh, did she?
I think so. I don't think I saw her speaking much. If I did, I was blanking out on all of my other stuff.
You were blanking out. You were totally distracted. She has.
Yeah, she had a very limited role in this one.
I've got 19 lines there for her. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if she was on screen for those full 19 lines. I think maybe you heard a few of them, but I'm not sure if she was.
Heard some of them over the speaker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the one where the chair on the captain still has all green lights. There's no red and there's no yellow and green lights on the chair. This is all green. This is an early episode. Well,
they said this chair was used also in the penal colony. The next one, the chair with the neural neutralizer, was used in the other episode with the other crazy guy.
Garth of Izar.
Was that Garth? Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing on the ceiling was on the sides of the chair, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It went through this way instead of on you. Let's reuse that chair.
Yeah. So that's trivia I looked up on this.
If you had problems with this episode, you're going to have problems with a whole bunch of other episodes that just don't make any sense. They take place in the future and...
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to be hard-pressed to find one that was poorly as written as this one. It just made no logical sense to me that someone would do that to themselves. I mean, if she was really a doctor and quote-unquote knows her job, as soon as she says, you're hungry, and he goes, man, and then I don't really know that proves anything. Well, it kind of proves a lot. Like there's something wrong here, right? So then she should have said, oh, you got a rash on your right knee. Then he would be looking for a rash. It wouldn't be there. And she goes, yeah, it works. You think you have a rash and you don't have a rash, Or you caught something from me during the Christmas party. And then he would be checking that out. And he goes, no, I don't have anything. She goes, well, neither do I. That would have made sense.
But the rest of the story, no sense, he says.
I'm sorry. It just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
when you pick it apart, I wonder why you don't wonder why some other people didn't catch this before.
Well, I think they were probably
process. I mean,
weren't they probably just trying to push this episode out? Do you think? I mean, they're just trying to get one in the can, right?
Right. They're making a half a movie every week.
Yeah.
Where there's special effects here.
I just don't understand why William Shatner would say, "I'm not doing this." I hear actors and actresses all the time that said. They said, I should say this or I should say that. Especially, I forget which actor she said. I said, I would never say that. I'm not saying that in this episode. Oh, isn't that one of the other Star Treks, right? She got kind of kicked off. The next Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Beverly Crusher.
She was gone for a whole year because she said she wouldn't act that way. This is not the way. And so apparently, what I've heard, I'll have to do more research, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone writing this? I know it's just Bruce and I, so Bruce, put your comment below.
I'm not watching this in 10 years.
You will be watching it in 10 years and you go, damn, we were good. Weren't we handsome?
You were talking about someone leaving on a different show.
Oh, yeah.
Because they said something. Why you're saying, why didn't these actors, I'm trying to make you look good, Captain.
Thanks.
Why didn't these actors speak up and say, this doesn't make any sense? Why would this happen?
Why would I get under the neural neutralizer? I'm the captain of the Enterprise and I've got a whole fleet of people, and first of all, we would not put anyone under the neural neutralizer. It's apparently causes some major problems and is not being used properly. I could see that. I could totally see a different. This could have been a great episode. It really could have. It could have been a great episode if it was more well thought out. I don't think they thought it out well enough to say. They just didn't flesh it out. Because if he would have brought down 2 red shirts, I'm telling you, and they got killed off right away, I wouldn't have cared. At least he's doing his diligence. If he would have told this crazy woman, Dr. Noel, hey, you're a little bit nuts. Let me get one of the, hey, Bones, who else do you got up there? Send down someone else that's more logical and not going to argue with me at every turn. And then definitely the neural neutralizer. They could have attacked it from so many different tangentials to figure out what's going on in there that would have been nice, so much more real than putting yourself in harm's way. Honestly, when I said I would not want to have served under someone like Captain Kirk in this episode, if I was on a ship...
That was your first comment.
It seems to me like if I was on a ship in the Navy and they took us right into the battle with massive warheads going off over set, when we were just evaporated like that, that would have been Captain Kirk. Hey, let's go in there. We're just sacrificing. Let's check it out. I'm like, maybe not. Maybe we'll hang back and let's assess it and let's fire some missiles from 50 miles away. Let's not just go in there. It just doesn't make any sense.
You have some good points. I listen to them and I go, oh, maybe that makes sense. But I'm like Gilligan, I don't have opinions of my own. It's like, oh, that makes the skipper's right. Oh, the professor's right. Well, they can't all be right. Well, that's me. So I don't have any counter argument. I watch this show and I go, hey, it works great.
you know what's going to happen though?
Yeah.
In 10 years, they're going to watch this and you go, damn, Kevin was right on the money.
Exactly. There's going to be a little seed planted, right? And it's going to grow. And 10 years from now, I'm going to go, I'd never watched this. Us talking again. And oh my God, Kevin's right. We should.
No, but I kind of hear, we all know where I'm at. And as I said, I'm going to just put it out there to the audience right now. I give this a 0 as far as the Star Trek episode is on my ratings scale. Now, what's your rating on this one? 85?
No. Because of your rating, I'll bump it probably down so that I can go, okay, maybe this wasn't one of the best episodes. But that Morgan guy, is that the guy's name? He was great.
He was good. Let's talk about the acting before you rate him. Captain Kirk was a phenomenal actor in this. I mean, he really got into the part. He's sitting under the neural neutralizer. He really gave a good performance.
Yeah, he's not holding back.
Van Gelder, he gave a great performance. I mean, I think would be tough being with other actors and going all the way out. He went to the nth degree with
Van Gelder. That actor took 4 days off, he said. After because of the intense, he was there for 2 days filming, and because of the intenseness of it, he took 4 days off. So
makes sense. I mean, he put himself out there. I think even Adams did a great job. He really did a great job of acting like
lying.
Yeah, I mean, do you think he did a good job? I think he did a good job on his.
You mentioned. I was thinking of Columbo, where the bad guy is trying to act totally natural to cover up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I was afraid you were going to ask about this. Oh, yeah. Right here. This is the one. This is the place. He's totally knows his job and is trying to play cool. And it doesn't look like he's playing cool. I mean, he's pulling it off, and Kirk's, should be buying it, right?
Yeah. I think the acting was good. What else did I like about this episode? Noel, Dr. Noel, I didn't like her character development at all. Spock had a very limited part in this too. His part wasn't very big. Of course, it was a planet episode, so they're down on the planet. I think I liked that woman that had the one-liner. I love my job.
Lethe, yeah.
Yeah, Lethe. She did a good job on that. She really does look like she's pretty. And so, like you said, the guy that's controlling the neural neutralizer. I don't know why he acts so blank though, too. What did he put that technician under
the neural neutralizer in order to make him as blank? I mean,
Yeah,
why
I
did
don't
he have
know.
to? Because Adams probably didn't have everybody on his side. He may have injected, made this guy be his lackey there, and that when he can't be operating the controls, you will do as I say, right? And you won't. And you'll
Well,
do
why
everything.
does Dr. Adams have all those security guys that are just running around trying to find it? That doesn't make sense either. You got these security guys that are trying
Whoa. A penal colony doesn't have any security guys?
No, but not behave that way to a captain of a starship, and to the doctor that comes with them.
What do you mean behave?
Hunting them down and stuff. These guys are hunting down the starship captain and this girl. I mean, are these guys that dense that they don't see this is completely nuts that we're doing on this planet?
No, normally they don't have anybody running around. That's why security is there.
Right, but it's the captain of a Starship Enterprise. And here's a big question for you. I would really like to see what Adams thought his backstory was, because to do this, you have to have one hell of a backstory. He must have been one of those that pulled off the legs of grasshoppers just to see that he could do it. I mean, he was pretty cruel.
Because he did this to Van Gelder
and to other people, not just Van Gelder. He was doing it to everybody.
So he wanted control. He wanted control of his little domain. Van Gelder wasn't. He was assigned there,
3 months before or something.
As the director of, wasn't it?
Oh, it could be.
See, so then was Adams really in charge, and he just wanted to move up? Was this just a power play? I'll disable your vessel. I was the director of, and didn't Spock say he was looking at his file?
Yeah, Spock checked his file. Yes, that's right. And Spock said it all checked out.
Yeah, that he was not an inmate.
Right, that he was not an inmate. That it checked out. His story checked out.
Right. So,
but Adams didn't dispute that he wasn't an inmate either. He said, he was doing experiments with this stupid thing and wanted to try it on himself, like Captain Kirk. He didn't dispute it. He didn't dispute that.
Evil guy, something fishy is going on, and Adams started the whole thing. Adams, for some reason, doesn't like anybody. Adams wants
ultimate power of his little penal colony. Maybe he thought he could branch out. Maybe he thought, I can control the universe. There's got to be a hell of a backstory to that, though. Really, there's got to be a backstory to this guy's psyche.
We should have read more the logs, James Blish's logs, so we can get some sort of background on this. And the script, right? We should have seen. Yeah, well, I can see how you feel about this.
I wasn't obvious this time, was I?
No, you have no strong opinions about this at all. I have a couple of other comments. One is the part that always sticks out in my mind is McCoy uses the phrase "doesn't ring quite true" twice.
Yes.
And that's the kind of thing that I try to avoid in using the same word one sentence later when I'm writing my report, right? I'll go to the source and come up with something different.
What about McCoy? He says some odd stuff too. McCoy said it doesn't ring quite true. I think that's McCoy that said that.
What did I say?
You said Spock.
I meant McCoy. And he says it twice. Once he says, but always with just a ring of truth in it when he's talking about Van Gelder. And later on he says it when Adams is talking through the speaker and says, that doesn't quite ring true. What, is this his newfound phrase for the week? It gets to me that he says it again. And is that supposed to be natural? Now, this doesn't help my argument out, because I would love to come up with an argument why this is the best episode ever. This is just enforcing yours. Hey, this is another reason to hate it. But my argument about the ring true is much more.
Let me clarify something here. I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
All right.
I don't hate it. I just don't like it. It could have been. It had so much potential, and it flopped.
Yeah. Okay. I told you I was surprised when Kirk was smiling in one scene and then the transport.
Yeah.
The off light on the console when they turn it. It works simply. You go like this, off and off. Why does the light turn on when it's off?
Editing for error, I guess.
No, but they put the words off on there on the light, and it says I am off.
I would have to look at that again. Yeah.
I suppose, but just at first glance, it just.
We'll have to put that up in the post.
Okay, here's another one for you. Adams is listening to Spock on the communicator, and Spock is apprehensive about talking.
Right.
And he says, "Go ahead, let your officer speak freely while I monitor from another room what you're."
I know, right? I mean, that's like the same thing to me. It's like, what? You really? I mean, didn't he learn that? Well, that was not yet, but one of the other episodes where they're watching him in another room.
And, I wrote down Mr. Flint, like in the episode with Flint. He goes in the other room and he's watching the development of his android's mind while she's playing pool with the captain.
Well, I was thinking of the one where the Klingons went to that planet where they haven't evolved.
The Errand of Mercy?
Yes.
Right, and they have microphones. Don't you think we're being watched? Yeah. Speak freely. So Adams walks off, goes into the back room, listens in anyway.
No,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, me too. It's not like we don't have interrogation rooms, right? Where you're watching from. Okay.
We also have neural neutralizers to help out. The truth.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting when Adams comes aboard. He's on the bridge, right? He's holding his weapon towards the captain, who's in front of the navigation console, and he notices that what he needs to do in order to let Spock get around behind him is start going over to the right. Okay, so he's starting to shift around. Of course, Van Gelder is pointing the gun at him this whole time, and the helmsman is sitting there, and as the arm of Van Gelder is pointing at the captain, he's passing by through. In other words, the helmsman is in between, in the line of fire. And this time I watched it and I thought, oh crap, I wouldn't want to be in that position. Would you just please point that gun a little bit? Keep moving so that I'm not in the line.
Well, here was my where I had to say, okay, I didn't want to get into this part, but like total suspension of belief. I'm like, could he not figure out that they're trying to plot against him, this crazy guy? With Spock and everyone else in the room there, and he's holding his thing on Kirk. He doesn't even heed it, right? He doesn't really heed that there's danger coming toward me. I need to get closer to Kirk. I need to make this a real deal, right? He even in his deranged start. So I tried to kind of suspend that. Would you do that? Would you just stand there with everyone else around you and moving and stuff? I would say you stay right there. When you move your phaser around and say stop moving. I know you're coming to attack me. I mean, I really had to suspend that too. I suspended that.
Well, the captain was very slick in the way he was maneuvering over to the side, keeping talking to distract him so that it was very good. He's very good at that kind of military maneuver. And then Spock, does he make a noise? Because he does look over and notice that he's there. And then Kirk gets to kick the phaser. Come on, that's all it was about.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that was such an awkwardly directed scene. It was so awkwardly directed that I like, why didn't they just change the staging of this? I mean, they could have totally changed that stage. It didn't work. The staging for that scene didn't work. If you look at it, I mean, I had the same problems as you do because the staging didn't work. They should have changed it to where Spock was somewhere. Maybe Spock was to the right behind him, as in Kirk's thing. Then he could have moved forward and made his move and no big deal. But they kind of pulled that. They tried to make that scene longer than it needed to be, and it could have been a lot tighter.
They gave Shatner the star kick so that he could kick the phaser out and win, as opposed to the Vulcan coming up. Did they have the Vulcan nerve pinch?
I thought he was trying to do the Vulcan nerve. I don't know. Did he have it at that time?
Did he have it at that time?
I don't think he did. It came in when he didn't want to hit Kirk. No, they did, because it came in on the one where Kirk comes as two people, and we already did that one.
The Enemy Within.
Yeah. So that's when they came up with the Vulcan.
So I came up with some things here to make your argument look better, but Bruce still does not rate this low.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
It's Star Trek. The The character was great. We saw Marianne Hill.
Yeah.
Good.
A lot of cleavage on her climbing through the ductwork. They gave us a lot of cleavage on her.
I believe they in that scene there was extra nude fabric in the
Was there? Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I give it a 75. It's not
Great.
my typical 80, but only dropped down because of what I read in your notes before we even started talking. I was going, oh my God, this is a terrible episode. I never knew. In fact, I wonder if in 10 years I will remember that this is we talked a lot, so I'll know now that this could be a bad episode. No, come on. So I wonder what's going to happen when you watch Spock's Brain. It's so bad, it's good.
It's we'll get there when we get there.
You're going to have a field day with that one.
But everybody does on Spock's Brain. I mean, it's not going to be exclusive to me on Spock's Brain, right?
Oh.
I mean, everybody has a problem with Spock's Brain.
Right, and here's
and even Leonard Nimoy, is that the one he was talking about when he said he was embarrassed? I think he said he was embarrassed on some of the episodes.
Yeah. Okay, I never had a problem with this episode. Never saw that, and now when I watch it, I'm going to be telling people some of your points of view to find out what other people think.
That would be great, and you guys can comment below. Check out new episodes above.
Wrong.
Everybody does.
Wrong.
Everybody does.
That is so bad.
This was a good episode of us speaking and dissecting Dagger of the Mind, I think.
And you gave me a new perspective, and I'm going to be thinking about it. I don't have any countering. I don't have anything to counter for your arguments because they sound good at first expression. And what I read, oh my gosh, I never thought about this before in that way. Uh-huh. So that's good because when I watch it again, I'm going to be thinking about what you said about her character and how snotty she is versus I was just attributing it to the relationship that didn't work out, right? And she's kind of...
Well, I don't get how you didn't get how she flip-flopped really quickly. When she's like all into this Dr. Adams and then she flip-flops, and she's all against Kirk and then all of a sudden she's all Kirk and against Dr. Adams.
Yeah, I didn't find that flip-flop. So I will be...
And maybe not. I mean, maybe it was already after he tortured Captain Kirk and she's going, this guy's wacko. Anyway, well, I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad you gave it a 75. I don't mean to influence you before we go into these sessions, though.
Now I know what you were getting at, and now I might rate my episode 5 points lower than I would have.
Just one more question. Yeah, so good. I'm glad you wrapped that up that way. Good.
All right. Very good, Kevin.
Awesome, Bruce. Thank you very much for doing this episode. Thanks for your patience with me yesterday.
Oh yeah. It was totally worth the non-animated Spock-like attitude you had today. Yesterday you were just flying off the handle and you weren't sick at all, and now I'm glad I waited. Sure. It worked out great because we have an unusual schedule this week.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, boss. Take care.
Again? Okay.
Yeah.
More rename.
Brucey.
I'm gonna rename Kevin. No, I can't do that. Excuse me. I have to cough.
How's my acting? I'm gonna edit that out because I know I'll get punched in the face. Everybody, I mean, this is
That is so interesting. Never even. You're gonna smell it. Well, it's okay. I sprayed myself, and I don't smell it now.
I'm okay.
Oh no, it stinks in here again. Oh really? I'm telling you. No, that bacon, really.